Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time.
All right, today we're cracking open Foundations of Economics by economist and author Yanis Varoufakis. And let me tell you, this isn't your standard dusty old textbook. It's meant to be a companion, yeah, but it's got a pretty rebellious mission to bring the passion, the philosophy, and the politics back into a subject that so often feels, completely sterile.
Right off the bat, the book hits us with a huge fundamental question. You see it right here. Is economics a neutral science, like physics? Are its models just objective truths about the world? Or is it something else entirely, something shaped by our own history and our own values? So let's think about the story we all get in school, the official version, right? We're taught that economics is the science of rational choice. And it's presented as this clean, objective toolkit, almost like a hard science. It's got all these impressive graphs and equations that seem to promise absolute certainty. But Varoufakis points out a pretty big crack in that scientific image. I mean, just think about it. Physicists all pretty much agree on the basics, like gravity. But economists, they seem to disagree on almost everything, from what causes unemployment to what value even is. That kind of deep disagreement kind of suggests that maybe we're not dealing with a pure science here. And here's the real kicker. Economics, as we know it today, is incredibly young. Varoufakis argues that for most of human history, it didn't really exist. Why? Well, because things like land and labor weren't just seen as commodities you could buy and sell. So what that tells us is that these economic laws we learn about aren't timeless truths. They're more like a set of ideas we invented to explain this very recent, market-driven world we live in. Okay, so if it's not a pure science, then what is it? This gets us to the absolute core of the book's argument. Modern economics often acts like a Trojan horse. It uses the language of science to smuggle in all these political and philosophical assumptions, basically disguising them as technical, objective facts. Let's just take the idea of being rational. In an econ textbook, being rational just means you're efficient at getting whatever you want. But the model doesn't care what you want. A desire to volunteer at a food bank is considered just as rational as a desire to own 1,000 pairs of sneakers. It's a very specific, and you could argue pretty narrow view of what motivates people, but it's presented as just a simple fact. Or how about the word efficiency? We're told an outcome is Pareto efficient if you can't make anyone better off without making someone else worse off. Sounds reasonable, right? But here's where it gets unsettling. Varoufakis points out that by this definition, a society where one person owns everything and everyone else is starving is technically efficient. Why? Because helping the starving people would make the one rich person worse off. All of a sudden, efficiency doesn't sound so neutral anymore, does it? So what gets lost when we frame things this way? Well, basically the entire human story. By treating markets like natural laws and human labor like a pile of steel, all the messy, complicated stuff gets erased. The history, the politics, the power struggles, the deep questions about what a good life even is. It's all just filtered out. And we're left with this clean, sterile model that doesn't really reflect our actual lives. The book offers a really powerful metaphor to help us get this. It's like you're given this complex, impressive-looking machine. You're taught how all the levers and gears work, but the instruction manual, the part that tells you why it was built in the first place, what its purpose is, and who it's designed to serve, that's been ripped out. So why does all this matter? Well, because when we start to see through all the technical jargon, we realize that economics isn't just some neutral tool for managing things. It's a powerful ideology. It's a story we tell ourselves about how the world works. And that story has the power to justify certain ways of organizing our entire society. And this quote from the book just nails it. The ultimate point is that we should treat economic arguments not as scientific facts handed down from above, but as a battleground of ideas. It gives us the power to ask the most important questions. When we hear policy is justified for economic reasons, we can ask, wait, whose story is this, and who does this objective truth actually benefit? For the full, long-form, deep dive into this book and its ideas, follow the link in the description. If you enjoy these explainers, please subscribe and comment with books or topics we should explore next.